And the topic today is My Devotee is Never Lost. Let me begin by reading a letter that Paramhansa Yogananda wrote to a disciple. You must never lose courage. Divine Mother sent me to pilot you out of the clouds of your mind. Everybody's difficulty is different, and he or she has to win that test of karma. Overcome all by constant inward calling on God and utmost devotion in words, thought, action, and obedience to Guru. Your troubles I do not mind. I will never give up my job about you. It is better to conquer one evil and not live with it forever. Never for a moment identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. Have no fear, even though I am gone from your visible eyes, you will never be alone. I may not scold you then, but I shall ever be with you, and through Divine Mother guard you from all harm, and will constantly whisper to you guidance through your loving self. A smooth life is not a victorious life, and I will give you lots of my good karma, so you will get through. I will not only ever forgive you, but ever lift you up, no matter how many times you fall. Keep unceasingly trying to conquer. I will invisibly help you, and visibly, through many here. I am not building a mansion for you or giving you riches which will perish, but I am making an imperishable home with all riches in my Divine Mother's mansion. Wow, so these words of our satsang today, my devotee is never lost, immortal words which were spoken by Krishnji to Arjun during the battle of Kurukshetra in the Bhagavad Gita, reassuring him in that middle of battle. But these words could well have been spoken over centuries and millennia by every enlightened master, every guru to their sincere devotee, to their sincere disciple. And the letter that I just read today feels like those words were spoken by Paramhansa Yogananda to all of us, his sincere devotees. And this is what the crux of it was: my devotee is never lost. Isn't it? So I want to, go deeper a little bit today into these words and the reassurances that these great masters have given to us. The first line itself of that letter that he's written says, you must never lose courage. Now in Ananda, we are all sincere devotees, right? Sincere disciples. Yet sometimes when we are meditating, what happens? I'm having a very dry period in my meditation. There's not much joy, especially when we get up from this long 1 hour meditation, 1.5 hour meditation, and there's been a storm of all of these thoughts going on in our mind, and the person next door gets up like he's got like samadhi already, right? What do we think? My God, I'm doing something wrong here. I'm not a devotee of these great masters. I don't think I'm ever going to make it. A lot of times, we lose courage in our practice. We feel, kahin pahunch to pa nahi rahe. What is even the point? What are we really gaining from all of this? But there's an interesting story in AOY of who else but Paramhansa Yogananda himself. If you've read that book, there's a chapter on cosmic consciousness. Yeah. What was Yoganandaji? He was meditating in his Guru Yukteswarji's ashram in his sitting room, and his thoughts were going all over the place. like a lot of us, right? And he's trying to meditate, and Yukteswarji is calling him. And now, when your meditation is not going good, you do become a little irritable. So he's like, doesn't he know I've come here to meditate, and why is he disturbing me? And I'm not going to go. Eventually, anyway, he goes and he Master, tells Yukteswarji, Master, I'm meditating. Can't you see? I went to your sitting room to do that. And Yukteswarji is like, I know how you were meditating, like leaves scattered in a storm. And Yogananji is a little shamefaced now at having been found out. You think we can hide anything from the Guru? And after that, what does Yukteswarji do? He doesn't say, meditate better, find God, like that. No. What did he do? Touched him and gave him something that Yogananji had been asking all the saints, his Guru repeatedly, Samadhi. And right after this kind of a meditation, right? So the Guru knows every sincere effort that we make is a cumulative movement towards this experience. So they say never give up. They know where we are going. They are holding our hands and taking us there. As Lahiri Mahasaya would always say, Banat Banat Ban Jaye. You don't keep digging the seed and checking, is it sprouting anymore? So he says, don't lose courage ever. Another line that he says is, your troubles I do not mind. I will never give up my job about you. Never identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. We feel, oh, so much accumulated bad karma of the past. Nothing is ever going to happen to me. But what does Yogananji say? He says, all saints were sinners who never gave up. Right? So you may have heard about Valmiki ji, who wrote the original Ramayana at the time of Ramji. What does he do? He is writing about Ram, the epitome of dharma, right? You can't even imagine that Ramji will take one step in the wrong direction, completely. And who was this person writing his charitra for us? He was actually a highway robber, right? I think most of you know that. So Valmiki ji was a robber, and I'm sure he had killed and all of that. And suddenly one day he meets Narad ji. And Narad ji, he wants to loot on Narad ji also. Narad ji says, hang on 1 minute, what are you doing? Why do you do all this? So this is such bad karma. So he says, what bad karma? This is my duty. I have to serve my family. I have to earn money for them. This is a dharmic thing to do. And Narad ji says, okay, your family is going to share the fruits of your labor. But are they going to share the fruits of your karma? He said, of course they will. They will share everything with me. Now Narad ji's work is done. So he says, okay, I'm standing here. You go check and come back with your wife. Wrong idea. He didn't say go check with anybody else but the wife. So he sends him off to the wife. And he goes, and of course the wife said, that's your duty to, however you get the money, that's your problem. Why should I suffer your bad karma? You can do better things. So I think Valmiki ji, this robber, gets quite a shock of his life. He's never thought of it that way. And he says, forget it, this world is over for me. And he goes to Narad ji and says, show me, guide me. And Narad ji gives him that mantra, Ram, Ram. And you know what he does with Ram, Ram? So if you keep saying Ram, 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 it becomes Mara, 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 Ram. So that's what he focused on, which is quite the opposite of Ram. Right? So he goes on chanting Mara, 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 Mara. And what happens to him? He gets enlightened. And he writes the charitra of Ram much before Ram even existed. Right? So he becomes an enlightened master. What does Yogananji say? It doesn't matter what your bad karma in the past. It really doesn't matter. Like a cave which has been dark for millions of years, one light doesn't say, okay, I'm removing first 1 million of darkness, 2 million. One light and it's all gone. So he says, in fact, even in our techniques, Now, I'm not saying that we should do Kriya all wrong, yeah. But techniques are very useful. But the real power behind our technique is the grace of these masters. And how open we are, how receptive we are, that much power they can give. You know, in the US, in one of the centers, the story was also there that somebody came to get their Kriya checked, and he was obviously looking a changed person after he came, after taking Kriya. He was looking completely different. And then they checked his Kriya, and they said it sounded like an engine running. So, not to say that Kriya we should, we can take casually and lightly, but the point is the sincerity. Point is how receptive we are, how much we realize that the Guru is sitting with us, guiding us in every step, right? So, another line that I want to read from the letter. A smooth life is not a victorious life, and I will give you lots of my good karma so you will get through. Challenges will come in life, right? And sometimes we feel Guru has deserted us at that right time. But then I think we've all read the story or seen it on WhatsApp where two sets of footprints are walking when that man is walking on the beach, or it's a poem or something like that. Shivendra will tell me later. So then, he holds, you don't know, I'm shocked. Okay, I think it's a poem then, if it's not in Masters. It's a poem then. So this man Christ is holding his hand and walking down the beach. Suddenly, when he is in trouble, he sees only one set of footprints, his own, right? And he's like, After all of the challenges are over, he complains to Christ, where were you when I really needed you? He said, at that time I saw only one set of footprints. And Christ says, that was because I was carrying you, right? Yeah, so they give us that strength and good karma. I remember during COVID times also, I think a lot of our karma was ripening and coming out, and a lot of stuff was happening with us. Something happened with me as well. There was a particular person I was having difficulty with, and I was like, I'm never going to forgive this person. They do this all the time. This is happening, that is happening. And I was very, very hurt and angry and all of that. And in 2 hours, we had just started this meditation thing on the new Zoom that had come out. So we had started in Ananda to have evening meditations, and it was my turn to take that meditation. So after 2 hours, I realized I still haven't been able to let go of this. And I said, those poor souls who come for this meditation, I don't know what they are going to get, what vibration they will get from me, but anyway, there's no other choice. We don't have an alternative. So I did that. And can you imagine, after those 30 minutes of guiding that meditation, all of that thing just went. I mean, I was obviously guiding at that time, I didn't think. But when I finished, there was just so much peace and upliftment that, try as I might to think of that person and start my rant against him again, couldn't. So it just flows. They just give you the good karma. I think you all have read about Swamiji's life as well. Constantly Yoganandji would tell him, you have a great work to do. And then his disciple Rajshri Jankanand also told him that Master said, you have a great work to do, and he will give you the strength to do it. So when Swami Kriyananda is left penniless, how do you think he started all of this work? This is Master's strength. How did he write all those music and books, innumerable, 400, 500? How did he do that? It was the strength of his Guru taking him through this karma, right? Then also Master says that I will invisibly help you and visibly through many years. Right? So we all think we came to Ananda by chance. No, most of us realize that we have been guided and brought here. Whether visible or invisible, their hand is always there. You know, we've seen in AOY also so many stories where we see that the Guru is guiding the disciples all through their lives, even through death. In fact, the masters assure us that even after death, it is not going to end. They will be waiting for us to usher us into the other life, that whatever life we have, right? So this, even at death, this immortal bond between the Guru and disciple remains unbroken. Thank you.
In the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, Arjuna says to Krishna, "Owing to my restlessness, I've achieved no lasting results in the attempts you've taught me to steady my mind. Verily, the mind is restless, tumultuous, powerfully stubborn. O Krishna, I consider it to be as difficult as to master the wind." Sounds familiar? So as aspiring yogis, we sometimes feel discouraged, like Arjuna, that why it's so slow and difficult. I'm doing, my meditation, or I'm doing my practice. And as a result, unfortunately, many people, after initial excitement and a little bit of effort, give up and go back to where they came from. But they come back, maybe after many years, or even after many incarnations, because that desire to know God, once awakened, can never be perished from our heart. And in other words, Swami Kriyananda said, there is simply no alternative. So even if we feel discouraged, even if we feel failed, still there's no other choice other than trying. And I just wanted to talk also, but what does it mean when we say, I've failed, or when we say the spiritual failure? Is it about missing our daily meditation or energization exercises, or maybe not being able to meditate, with full concentration? All of that, but what the fundamental cause of what we call spiritual failure is that we don't remember who we really are, children of God. We identify ourselves with many other self-definitions and forget the most important one. I'm not happy because I don't have enough money, or I feel miserable because I have this illness, or my family is this, or my job is like this. We define our success in terms of these outward definitions. And as a result, we are actually limiting ourselves. God puts us in this cycle of birth and death. For what purpose? To punish us for these countless failures and mistakes that we have made in probably many incarnations? No, He does not punish us forever. All He wants is our love. He's just waiting very quietly for us to realize what is most important in our life and who we really are. Judas Iscariot, one of the closest disciples of Christ, and a notorious example of someone who failed spiritually, because he's the one who betrayed Jesus, his master, and brought about his crucifixion. He had to pay for his mistake, but not forever. Paramhansa Yogananda said Judas had to go through 2,000 years of suffering after his betrayal, but he was liberated in 20th century in India because Jesus appeared to a certain master and asked that master to free him. See how our guru takes care of us. He doesn't mind our mistakes, but he loves, and he is just waiting for our love. It is not God or guru who punish us, but it's often ourselves who punish us. Yoganandaji said, so long as you continue to make the effort, God will never let you down. But if you tell yourself, I've failed, it will be true, for this lifetime at least. So don't say I have failed. We are often attached to results, many kinds of results, and including the bad ones. But the attachment to results will only reduce our ability to rise above, to live in the present moment, because our attention goes to the past. Swami Kriyananda says, without attachment to results, even failure will free you. This book I just read from The Essence of the Bhagavad Gita. I want to talk a little bit about how this book was born. In 1950, when Swami Kriyananda was a young monk of 23-year-old, he was asked by Yoganandaji to help edit his commentaries on the Gita. So he started that task, but he was never able to finish. And then things happened after many years. He left the organization, and Swamiji didn't have the access to the original manuscript. However, it was always in his mind that my guru asked me to help edit his commentary on the Gita. I need to finish that task. And finally, in 2005, at the age of 80, Swamiji prayed to Master Yoganandaji, that how can I do this? I don't have the manuscript, and it's been so many years. Then Swamiji had a dream. Yoganandaji told him in that dream, do not overlook the possibility of a skylight. Do not overlook the possibility of a skylight. The skylight is that little window that's on the ceiling or roof in some of the buildings. And after that, Swamiji says, after that dream, verse by verse, he said he received what Master said over 50 years ago. Swamiji said, Master's thoughts poured effortlessly into my mind, helping me to fill page after page with deep insights and inspiration. And he completed this book, 600-page book, within 2 months. So this skylight, it's that window, it's the opening of our consciousness through which this limitless wisdom and inspiration can flow through if we pay attention, if we open that window. Yesterday, some of us were listening Swami Kriyananda's music, the songs, especially on the life of Christ. And one of the songs was called Psalm of David, based on the lyrics or the poems written by King David, who was the ancient Jewish king, very respected, well-respected king. And it starts with these words: I will lift up my eyes onto the hills, from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. You know, I will lift up my eyes. This is the window, this is the skylight where the wisdom, the inspiration, and the strength can flow through us. Before Krishna said, in the Gita, before Krishna said, my devotee is never lost, just a few lines above, he says, those who give me their heart's love are in me, as I am in them. So what we have to do is choose him to lift up our eyes, to open our hearts, offer completely our hearts, and then his grace, his power can flow through us. Okay. Jai Guru.